perceived it really well.
See the duck?
I can't really relate to chopping off my hair.
No! You have the distinguished look already. You're already there.
I really wanted to do this. It's just the time. I go through the 1,200 photos we took and pick one.
Big guy behind my vocal things.
And I had like a very detailed schedule of which shots to work on each day, and then that's 7 days a week.
I tipped over that edge, and that was a really exciting moment for me.
I'm still laughing about that intro about Jurassic Park and elephants.
She still hasn't got any elephants, so it's a win-win so far.
All those little things that you forgot how to deal with.
But it was so much work to reach people.
You just like flow love, and it's really nice to talk to
both of you.
It is the 10-year anniversary. I can't even speak of Eclectic Arts. Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts based here in Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much for joining me on this 19th of September, 2021. And just as a few housekeeping details, my next live streams that are confirmed are going to be in about a week's time. There's a few more that are kind of pending, so they may happen this coming week. If you'd like to know more details of when those are actually set in stone, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates to other social media platforms. And if this is your first time watching me on my YouTube channel, if you could hit the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that. And if this is your first time following me on Twitch, if you could follow me over there, I appreciate that as well. All of the links to my social media as well as my other sites are right in the YouTube description. If you're really feeling generous, if you'd like to make a tip or a donation via PayPal, that link is also in the description. And then anytime with my guests that I have on my channel, their information is also in that video description. So a lot of stuff down in the description of all the videos related to myself and related to my guests. So hopefully you had a nice weekend as we're kind of winding things down. Here in Seattle, if you're a football fan, it's not a real great night, but we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with a lot of penalties. We had like 100 yards in penalties, so that's never going to win you a football game. And the weather's really being strange outside right now with a lot of unsettled weather, but I'm really glad to be here again. And just know that for those that have been watching and maybe have kind of wondered like why my schedule is kind of moving towards nights, is that my Muggle job has changed, that I am now doing an 8 to 5. So basically weekdays during the evenings, and then on the weekends, it could be pretty much any time, is when I'll be scheduling my live streams. And I'm still doing all of the film work, and there's a lot of live events that are coming up that I'm getting invited to. So I'm just trying to find that balance with everything we do. But I don't plan on abandoning the live streams anytime soon, because I really enjoy doing these, and they're a great way to connect with my guests. And in this case, reconnect with the guests. So my guest today is no stranger to Eclectic Arts. She made her first virtual appearance on the Alice Virtual Tour on May 26, 2020. She just released a new single on Friday called I Hate Myself. We just watched about 20 seconds of it, or heard 20 seconds of it. Please welcome back to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mariah Belgrod.
Hello.
Hi, Mariah, how are you?
I'm doing quite well tonight. How are you?
I'm outside the football game. I'm doing very well.
We'll get through it together. I'll bring you some sunshine to like move on to the next week. We'll be ready for next week.
All right, that sounds good. So yeah, it's nice to have you back. And we talked a little under 2 months ago. It was in July when we last connected.
That's crazy. Time has flown since then.
Yeah, and I remember we were talking then about the previous time. It's like, yeah, time has flown before that as well. It's like,
it gets faster and faster.
It does, and you mentioned back on the last interview that you're over on the East Coast and the Pennsylvania area. And you mentioned that you had some new music that you were working on. Here we are today to talk about some of that new music, which is I Hate Myself, the single that came out. So what can you let people know about the song, how it was recorded, written, and then what's the reaction been so far?
Yeah, I Hate Myself came out on Friday the 17th. The reaction has been awesome. It's kind of a dive into the dark pop world for me. My last single, Team Player, was a little bit more upbeat, fun, a little bit more youthful. So this song has been more adult for me, and it's kind of like an evolution as to where I see myself going as an artist. I had a lot of fun recording this song. I went to Southern California and worked with a producer named Eric Ferraro. It was our first time working together, so this was kind of our like establishing track to kind of see if our energies connected and if we could work together in an artistic direction. But I loved it. I'm really happy with the result. Everyone's been raving about it. And writing this song was interesting because I actually wrote the chorus in my sleep. And I woke up in the morning and I recorded a voice note in my phone at like 3 a.m. And then I came back to it later because I was like, I think I wrote a song last night. And I checked my voice note and you just hear groggy Mariah singing, I hate myself for loving. Yeah, and then I was just like, that's pretty catchy. I'm going to keep going with it. And I did, and I'm really glad I did because I love the song.
Wow, and you had mentioned during the last interview that the new music was going to have a little bit of a different slant, a little different flavor to it, like you mentioned, kind of more of a representation of where you're at now, a more perhaps mature Mariah.
Yeah.
And so is the title I Hate Myself, is that literal, or what is that kind of representing for you?
I really liked the juxtaposition of like I hate myself for loving, like the contrast of between the hate and the love and the feelings that you get as a human. So I don't literally hate myself, but I just, in the time when I was writing about that song and thinking about the concept of wanting something you can't have or having a guilty pleasure and hating yourself for wanting to indulge, it's kind of those feelings that you feel with yourself. And it was a good way for me to process those feelings. But I don't hate myself. I love myself very much. I'm all about self-love.
Okay, well that's good to know. I was just
yeah. I'm not super dark and like I hate myself constantly. No.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you had taken like a real serious turn.
No. Definitely not. I wouldn't be smiling this much.
Okay, well that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, me too. Glad we cleared that up.
I do think, as I listened to the song ahead of time, that it is nice hearing this. There's much more. Not that there wasn't depth to your previous music, but there's a lot of depth to this particular tune. That if you listen to it once, yes, it's a pop song, but there's just kind of like an emotional weight to it. And I think it's really exciting that you're heading in that direction, because if the other songs have that same emotional weight, it's really going to, I think, bode well where listeners can keep listening to the song over and over again and kind of get something new out of it.
Definitely. And I think from my reaction from my supporters, I've gotten different responses from men and women, just saying how the song is relatable to them, and every person has had it be relatable in a different way, which I love, that the lyrics can invoke like different feelings from different people in different situations. I think that's the beauty of music. Like for me, for instance, I listen to Taylor Swift songs and they're so specific. Like, I left my red scarf in your drawer, but it's like, I can connect with that in a different way, like leaving something at someone's place and like missing it or something, like that. So it's just how people can interpret that into their own lives and situations.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think music, when there's different interpretations that listeners are getting from it, kind of tells you a lot as the writer and the performer, that instead of it being very one note, if there's several notes, that's usually much more of a success in my eyes from the writing standpoint, because then there's all these different aspects of people kind of latching onto your song and your art. And
Definitely.
It's always exciting.
Yeah, and I love the fact that I was spanning between like men and women, because a lot of people like can't connect with certain genres and certain artists. So I feel like it's successful that even little kids like to listen to the song. I have like my 12-year-old cousin, she's dancing around to it, just like enjoying the beat. And then like people that are older have connection to the lyrics. So it just feels really special to me to kind of span different ages and genders and everything.
Okay, yeah, and is there a music video in the works for the song?
There is, yeah. I'm working with a videographer team who did a commercial for Smule, the app that I use. We connected a couple years ago when I was recording with Smule on the commercial set, and they reached out to me being like, "Hey, we're looking to record a music video, and we love your work." So we were like just talking and figuring out ideas. So they're based out of San Francisco, so I'm hoping to go there soon and do some recording with them.
Okay, nice. And even though this is obviously very, very fresh, since it just came out on Friday, is there something else already pending for, a few months down the road for the next single or the next music release?
Yeah, so I'm trying to be ahead of the game and have music like in a vault. So I do have a song, and I've been working on another song. So I'm hoping early next year I'll be releasing another single, because around the holidays isn't the best time to release music because everyone's going to be listening to the holiday music. So I think I'm going to wait until the new year to start releasing the singles that I'm recording.
Okay, and I'm also thinking back to the interview that we did back in July that I believe you were talking about that you're getting reconnected to, perhaps it was dance and some other kind of things that you had done in the past, and you're trying to kind of get back into that. Is that something is that happening?
Yeah, it is. I dance, and I recently auditioned for a couple musicals, just to kind of get back out there, dip my toes in, see what I'm interested in, and yeah, it's just been fun to get to connect with different people and harness my skills, because it's important for me to be well versed in what I do.
Yeah, and I still remember when you had brought that up back in July that I actually forgot that you had that background from way back when, and I was like, oh, that's right, that's right. How did I forget that? And like for me, the musical theater world is starting to come back in October because I just got the press release and the invite for, I think it's Jesus Christ Superstar is coming to.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, to the Paramount. So they're doing all the COVID protocols, but the show and the tours is supposed to be happening. So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so that means that for someone like yourself who's auditioning for potential musicals, that hopefully things continue to go in the right direction, that these opportunities are there, but the two that, just as a society as a whole, that we can continue to have these live events and we don't regress.
I know. I'm curious to see how the winter time will affect things, but yeah, there's been shows opening up. Broadway starting to open up again, so I'm excited to see what opportunities come from all of it. And like just practicing going to auditions. I mean, auditioning is a scary process. So at least for me, I get really stressed and psych myself out a lot. It's a lot different than going on stage and performing as an independent artist, your own music, you're performing as a character, as someone else. So definitely a skill that is a little rusty for me, I think, but I'll get there.
So for when you've done some of these recent auditions, is it something like what we would see like in a television show or in a movie where there's like a room, there's a bunch of people waiting and they're calling one person back at a time to go do their audition, or is that kind of similar to what you were going through?
Yeah, it is similar. I mean, the theaters that I've been auditioning at have been very cautious with COVID. So like they have a very streamlined process of how you go in, but it is an individual audition. So you'll go in the waiting room and fill out all the paperwork and then go up and perform for a very intimidating panel of people just staring at you, scrutinizing everything you're doing and like taking notes. The worst part is when I do something and they take a note. I'm like, oh, is that a good note or a bad note? I'm like, I want to know what you're writing down. So curious, but yeah, it's definitely a process to get used to for me, because I haven't really auditioned for anything since I was a little kid, and people treat you differently when you're a child.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like as an adult, going into these auditions, and maybe they're a little bit, perhaps more blunt about things than they would be if you're a child auditioning.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As a kid, you can get by on the cuteness factor, and you can get by with just being like nice. They're like, oh, you're so sweet. But as an adult, that doesn't work that way anymore.
Oh God, I'm thinking back to some of the other guests that I've had the pleasure of interviewing that come from the musical theater world, and for most of them, they said when they were auditioning, even if they, part of their brain or their heart told them, you really nailed that audition, there's that other part of them that made them, as soon as they walked out the door, they're like, fuck, I know I just blew that. I'm not going to get that role.
100%.
Okay. So that's kind of true for yourself?
It's definitely true for me too. Yeah. Like, and it takes one thing. It takes one little slip up or something, and then that's all that sticks in your head. And it's hard for me because I'm someone, if something goes wrong, like you can see it on my face, and I don't have a good poker face. So if I mess up, like I get really red and flush, and I'm like, oh wait, okay, I need to collect myself. So I think that's something I'm practicing, and being okay with a little bit of failure or a little bit of a mistake, not being so perfectionistic. That'll definitely help me in the future.
Okay, yeah, I've never been in that situation where I was, auditioning my talent in front of a panel of people that are, scrutinizing every little thing that you do. So I can only imagine. And again, I'm thinking back to some of the other guests when they're talking about as soon as they left, they got on the phone to their agent and they're saying, I'm going to quit the business and I don't know why I even tried to do this, and that's just terrible. And then they end up getting a call back and then another call back, and then they eventually get the part. So then they try to remember that for the next time they audition. And it's just the same process. Just happens all over again. It's like Groundhog's Day. They just completely forgot what happened.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's funny. I feel like it's the interview or the auditions that I personally feel I do the worst on are the ones I'm get the call back for, and the ones that I feel I do amazing on. It's like, well, we're not looking for this type of talent. So it's just it's always the opposite, which is interesting.
That's so interesting that you brought that up, because that was from another guest during the first leg of the Alice virtual tour that you were a part of. It was an actress that said the exact same thing about this film that I was interviewing her about. She's like, Mark, when I did that audition, I was like, man, I totally tanked it. There's no freaking way they're gonna call me back because I just know I just screwed that one up. And then she got offered the part. She's like, what's going on here? Because then the ones I think that I nailed it, then I said, oh yeah, we went with somebody else. I'm like, what?
I know, it's crazy. I remember I had an audition when I was younger and I got sick right before it, and I drove, my parents had drove me 3 hours to New York, and I was getting sick all day, and I was like, I really don't want to do this audition. And then I got in and I got a call back right away, and I was like, I just feel horrible. I look horrible. I didn't remember any of my lines, but okay. I'm glad I got a call back at least. It was worth it.
Yeah, that is interesting about the whole opposite thing of whatever you're feeling. That seems to be like, well, if you're feeling bad about it, you should actually feel good because you're probably going to get a call back.
Exactly. I was like, I'm just going to go into every audition thinking I did terrible, and then hopefully success comes from it, right?
There you go. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we'll beat the system.
It's a good mentality to have,
I guess. Well, I'll let you know how it goes. I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I also know that you have talked very openly that you have a real strong interest in food, and you mentioned that you're kind of slowly but surely working on your Twitch channel, and you want to get to a point of maybe being able to cook on stream or have your fans cook with you and have ingredient lists and that kind of thing. And is there any aspect of the food world that is starting to move forward for you as well since the last time we talked?
No aspect of the food world is moving forward except that I'm eating a lot. That's great. But yeah, being home has been amazing on the East Coast in Pennsylvania because the food here is obviously amazing, and I love my Amish sweets, my Amish pies. Everything here is great. Nothing moving forward in the food world, but I have been taking an interest. I know we talked about photography last time. I'd had an offer to be like a second shooter for a couple weddings in the fall. So I'm looking forward to kind of dipping my toes in that realm and seeing if there's any interest so I could potentially start some sort of photography business or working with restaurants and doing food blog photography. That's a tongue twister. Or something of that sort.
Okay, that's exciting. Because I'm also thinking too with the photography piece that there's a couple of really talented artists that the photos they've been using have been things they've been doing self-portraits of themselves. They got to a point of really getting really good with their timings and all the other things that they use for settings.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away when I found out they were doing their own work.
That's what my friend, he's kind of like my mentor in the industry so far, and he was telling me, like, even if you invest in the camera and the gear, like, worst comes to worst is you can always if you're not interested in photography for other people or portrait sessions or whatever avenue, he's like, you could at least use it on your own work, like do things for your Instagram, or work with brands and do brand collaborations or shoot covers for your albums. Like, he's like, it's never a bad thing to own a camera, like a nice camera. So yeah, that's definitely, it feels like a win-win situation.
Absolutely, I totally agree with what your mentor had said, because there's going to be a lot of upside to you learning that process of photography, and doesn't matter which avenue you decide to choose, even if it's something that you just keep it in-house for yourself. There's going to be a lot of pluses. I got this idea in my head and I want to try to get it out. Well, you can just start doing it yourself.
Exactly.
Instead of being perhaps forced or having to wait to collaborate with somebody down the road. It's like, no, I can do it right now. And that might even just be the blueprint for down the road. Like, hey, here's what I'm thinking, but can you kind of take this idea and, put your spin on it, kind of a thing?
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like recording a demo and sending it out to a producer. It's like taking a picture of inspiration for yourself and having someone enhance it. And yeah, I think it's really exciting. I like to create, and I'm a very like visual learner. I'm very hands-on, so I think doing things myself and just kind of figuring it out, even if I don't start my own business, just having that skill set is going to be really useful down the line. So, and obviously nowadays there's so much on social media and everyone wants good quality content. So the higher quality content that I can put out for my supporters is going to hopefully bring in new supporters to my community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this being an influencer, that you have to stay up with what's current, and you have to be doing things. You can't just stay with, well, this was working, a year ago, quality wise. It's like, well, now I need to figure out how to make these images look better or pop more, kind of keep people engaged, basically, which is something I don't envy of you at all.
I don't envy it of myself. I hate that. Like, it's like, this worked 3 years ago. Why doesn't it work anymore? Why do I got to keep up with this? It's a commitment, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I get to do what I love every day, and it's not a job. So I'm very grateful.
Well, and it kind of brings up a point, and we've talked about social media before, just in general, but have you gotten to a point where is there other like new platforms of social media that you're trying to gravitate toward to kind of reach another aspect of audience that's out there in the world, or are you kind of staying with the same platforms that you've been enjoying over the last X amount of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been kind of divvying up my time to different platforms evenly. Like before, I used to be very Smule oriented, and I used to record a lot of things on Smule, and that'd be like my main platform. Now I find myself like Smule, Instagram. I mean, TikTok is obviously huge, and I feel like if you're an artist that's not on TikTok, you're missing out, because there's this is one of the most downloaded apps in the world. There's a huge market for new fans. So those 3 apps are probably my top. I think each app provides a different group of people too, like there's different users on each app that will look at your stuff. So it's a good way for me to keep up with different age ranges and everything. Because like I find my older audience is on Facebook, and like they read my emails more, and then like a younger audience is on TikTok. So it's just a good way to keep in touch with everybody, to spread yourself out.
That's a really good way to put it, and that's why I'm really deficient in certain areas, because I'm not keeping up with certain things. I know when I made my TikTok account, I did it for like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or something. I was like, I'm just tired of this thing, and I'm fully aware that I'm missing out on the market. I'm missing out on a younger demographic, and I'm like, I'm okay with that right now, because I just don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is it's a commitment to, a lot of people make new content for each app. I don't have that much time in my life to be able to like make a video for TikTok, make a video for Instagram, make a video for Facebook. Like I'll make one video and I'll post it and I'll write different captions and things to just kind of communicate differently, or be more funny with TikTok and be more serious with Facebook. But yeah, otherwise I don't have enough time to be on 14 apps and posting different videos. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for people who do it, because I can't. I don't have the energy for it.
Well, and speaking of that, do you have a set schedule? Like, I know some people, they have certain days that they always put new content up, or you kind of more by feel?
Yeah, I try to do Mariah Mondays, so I try to like post new content on Mondays. I used to do YouTube videos on Fridays, but it's really demanding to just come up with new videos every week, and everything. So I've kind of been stepping back from that, but I want to get back into it. Hopefully in the fall, because when the winter season comes around, you're not going outside as much, and you have more time on your hands to just be inside and create. So I'm hoping to be a little bit more consistent in the winter season.
Okay, and that makes sense. I think it's going to be true for everyone that does anything through social media, or just things that are online. That as the weather gets colder and cooler and all that kind of thing, at least in where you live, where we both live, then you'll find yourself, well, I'm inside, so I can kind of spend some more time on this versus during summer. Then you might find yourself kind of distracted outside.
Yeah, I mean, I sit here at my desk and I have a really nice window right here, and then I just see the sun shining and the birds are chirping, calling my name to go outside, and I feel guilty if I don't use a beautiful day, because I know the winter seasons are coming, and I know I'm going to be staring at 3 feet of snow soon, so I might as well get outside while I can.
Okay, and that also brings up a question. How's Addie doing?
She's good. It was funny, before I came on, I was playing with her toys and throwing a ball for her, and I was like, Addie, do you want to be in my interview? And I was just kidding, because she's chaotic, but she's doing great. She's adapting really well to the East Coast. She loves it here. She loves fall because all the leaves are coming off the trees, so she likes chasing them in the wind, and she's definitely been my comedic relief throughout life, and I'm really, really grateful. Like, dogs are a person's best friend in my eyes, and she's my best friend. And Halloween's coming up, so I can do some sort of cute dress up outfit with her. I'm still deciding. So if you have any suggestions, let me know.
Well, that's awesome. How old is she now?
She just turned a year. So
okay,
she's officially a year on the planet. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I've had many guests that are animal lovers, and they all talk. And that's some of that was in my intro video where you saw the duck and
I saw, and the bird. That's crazy. It was so cute.
that fun table session was that was funny as heck, because I asked Megan, who's in England from Vex, she lives on a farm, so she went and grabbed one of her ducklings, and then Nicole's had her parrot for many years, and I swear, I think it was the parrot that's made a noise first, and then the duck kind of went like this, and like looked at the camera, and then the parrot was kind of doing this, and we were like, oh my gosh, they're talking to each other.
Yeah, you just made two new best friends over your fun table session. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's the power of the internet.
Exactly. They never would have met. Maybe there's some sort of dating app for birds.
May.
Who knows nowadays, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if someone's watching this and put in the comments, and you know what, there actually is a dating app for animals, Mark. It's right here.
The pun master in me is going crazy, like toucan play at that game, or like all the puns that you can come up with a bird dating app.
Absolutely. And and I love fall and Halloween myself, and I know that now I think about it, you're a part of the Halloween fun table session we did a year ago. When we dressed up a bit and had some fun with 5 of us. I think it was a group of 5.
Yeah, that was a group of 5. I think we were hopping in and out. Like, someone came in late, someone left early. I think I left early, but that was super fun.
Yeah, and so it's great that we're in this, again, the state now where things are opened up more, and people hopefully can actually get out and enjoy the fall and the Halloween time like it's supposed to be, instead of being kind of limited to what you could do.
100%. I know, like, I've seen so many changes, and every state and every city is different, so it's been interesting.
Yeah, and not to spend too much time on the pandemic, but I can't help but watch, like, again, for me, watching football, being a football fan, and just seeing 70,000 people at Lumen Field today for the Seahawks. They had to be, I believe it was they had to be vaxxed. I don't know if they could, or maybe a negative test.
I think it's probably a combo.
Yeah, I think they're doing the combo thing. But just seeing so many people, I mean, if you've ever been there, anyone who's watching this, the Seahawks arguably have the loudest fan base ever. That's why they're the 12s. And so you just, spits flying everywhere, and stuff's happening.
There's a lot of stuff happening there.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of think, so how's this going to work 2 weeks from now? But then other sports have already been doing it. In the summertime, the Sounders have been playing here, and large crowds of the other concerts have been happening around town.
Yeah, I know. I saw, and I know the Mariners have had like the stadium and everything. So Yeah, I mean, it must be going okay if everything's still happening, you know.
That's what I think, because otherwise you would have heard about some huge outbreak or something and all tracing it back to, this sporting event or this huge concert. There was one of those instances, but after that I haven't heard anything about that kind of thing. So
yeah, and are the music venues there, or like people are performing locally and everything still?
yeah, I think every venue that I normally cover shows at is now open with local and or touring bands playing.
That's
Um,
awesome.
all of them require some level of COVID protocol. Almost all of them require masks inside for the music for the
Okay.
smaller ones. But I can't think of anyone right now that's closed. Even the performance centers that have kind of a wider range of artistic guests that perform on their stages here in Edmonds, Kirkland. There's some other ones around town. They have stuff on their schedules. So they've been doing opening their doors pretty much. It was this month, September, is when the law was okay. We're going to move forward, and so it's exciting but cautious, I guess, right now.
Yeah, that makes me excited for performers, just because like I haven't performed a live show in a year and a half. So like I'm just sure people are excited to get back out, and I miss going on stage and having a live audience and then talking with people who enjoyed the show afterwards and getting to know like what was your favorite song, or like what would you suggest for next time. I miss those conversations a lot. So I'm hoping sooner or later I can go out and perform too. But until then, I'll just live vicariously through everyone else.
Well, and that brings up the question. So how are things over there then? Are your venues also open and things are kind of moving and shaking like they used to be, or like is it hard to find a place to perform at over there?
Yeah, definitely like larger venues are having bigger artists come through, and it's similar with the testing. A lot of like where I am is like coffee shops and smaller things. And I'm currently like working on an acoustic set for myself to be able to go out and perform. So I'm not going to be able to do that until I feel 100% confident. So until then, I think I'm just going to go out and busk a little bit and just have fun. Just surprise people and be like, hey, I'm here today. Come out and say hi. I think that's fun, especially around here because there's not like a lot of artists where I live. And a lot of people have like followed my career locally growing up, and they know that I'm back and I haven't done a show yet. So I think it'll be fun to do some sort of like pop-up event and just like surprise people.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, that people have been that have known you for so long, to have a chance to finally see you in a real informal setting too. If you're just, hey, I'm going to be outside of this, coffee shop or this farmer's market or this what have you.
Yeah.
And come reconnect with me.
And there's also like there's so much land here. I was thinking maybe I just go to like, this sounds weird, but maybe go to a field or something and ask people to bring picnic blankets and chairs and just like set up, and I can have a speaker set and be like, I'm going to be at this location. Come out and listen to me sing for a little, and just like maybe make it like a private event and have people like need a secret, kind of like I did for the Lie to Me show, like it's going to be at this location, and give people the address once they purchase a ticket or something. I don't know, something creative just to keep things fun and interesting.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. That reminds me of the I never did get a chance to cover one of those, but they have those the Seattle Secret shows where you don't know what venue, or even sometimes it's not even a venue, it's a business that they're going to be playing in after hours. So you're buying your ticket, and then you find out, I think it's that day, where the location is. And then you go there, and some of them actually, which you would be perfect for, they kind of pull from different areas. So yeah, you have an artist playing music, but then they may have had like a chef there, and they may have had somebody else there doing a food thing and an art thing on top of it. Yeah, it's all in the same space.
So cool. That gives me like ideas for here, because like I said, there aren't a ton of artists, but the talent that is here, they're extremely talented. And I mean, I've seen them perform. I've tried to go out to different venues and like support people locally since I've moved back. So that gives me ideas to like set up a show with 2 other artists and do something like that. Oh, this is like, my wheels are turning now.
Well, that's great. Again, because of all the things that you have in your background and all of your interests that you love to do, it would be great to be able to pull from all of those at different areas and put it all together in something that can help support not only yourself, but your fellow community out there. And you could take advantage, particularly of the season. So if it's somewhere near like a cornfield or something, or what have you, it just there's lots of ideas and potential there for sure.
And if there's one thing that I love about where I'm from is the community. Like, it's extremely community based, and everyone loves to support each other. It's not competitive whatsoever, and I've always appreciated that, being a young woman in the industry and trying to pave my way. It's just been awesome to have so much support, so I always want to give back the best I can.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful to hear. I always like it when I hear from any guests when they can say that their particular area that they're from is very, very supportive of each other, because we know some areas it's not like that at all. It's every person for themselves, and they're trying to step on each other to get ahead and all this kind of nonsense.
I know. I'm a big believer that like there's room for everyone to eat at the table and like to clap for other people and their success, because not be jealous. Like, my time will come when it's ready, you know, like I would want people to do the same thing for me. So
yeah, and you've been, I mean, since I've known you, you've always been that way, and I think that's something that comes across with really everything that you do. You're very, very genuine, and I think people kind of gravitate toward that, and it resonates with them. Even I'm thinking back to the very first virtual interview we did on the Alice tour, that when people were in the chat and saying, "Well, I really like her," and they were trying to figure out like more about you, and that she was just very, very real. I think was one of the words that kept coming up a lot of the times in the chat, and that's really I think you just haven't changed. Even if, I don't know, again, maybe 5 years, 10 years from now that you're touring the world and everything else that's going on, and you get your own food, food company, and I don't know, clothing brand, photography business, and show on Food Network.
Oh heck yeah, that's the dream.
You'll probably still be the same Mariah that you are now in terms of how you come across to people.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I think I want to be the same me in every environment, and I want people to like meet me. Like, I would never want a supporter to meet me and be like, "Oh, she's way different than what she is like online." You know, I would be disappointed if that's what someone said about me. You know, I just want to be the person that I am in every situation.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I can say this just from the different things that you've done with me one-on-one, but also you've been a part of different groups the last year and a half and some change, and you always come across as it's still you. I know when I book something where you're going to be a part of something with other guests that you won't try to change yourself to kind of fit what the other people are like. It's just no, this is what I bring to the table, and if you like it, great, and if you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone's so different on this planet. Like, I don't know. I respect people that are really unique and true to themselves. So, and you're one of those people. Like, you're so genuine, and we've talked about this so many times, but I always enjoy talking with you because it's just down to earth, real talk. I don't feel like I have to tiptoe on words. I can just be myself, and I know you feel similarly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to lie to anyone who's watching this now or watching this later that when I know certain guests are coming on that I've talked to before, I know like how much do I need to be kind of like how much of that face do I need to put on in terms of me being ready, and then for someone like yourself, it's like we're so comfortable when we do these. I mean, you could text me tomorrow and say, Mark, I forgot about something. Can we talk about this? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know. I feel like sometimes I forget we're on a live thing, and I'm just talking, and I'm like, oh wait, we're live. Like, there are other people watching this right now. Whoops.
Well, and that's a huge compliment, because that's what I've been hearing from other guests who have talked to me for the first time. So once we're done, and we're backstage in this backstage area, they're saying, "Wow, you made me feel so comfortable." I said, "Well, that's great, and that's a high compliment to me, because that's how I 100%. Like to do my interviews. I don't want you feeling like I have to watch what I say, or I have to present myself a certain way, or that I got to a point where I'm trying to pick at you or something like that as the interviewer."
Exactly.
You're talking about you would be disappointed if someone met you in person. So, wow, she's really different than what I thought she'd be like. I would be really disappointed if somebody saw me do an interview where I was like attacking somebody or trying to get a clickbait headline out of them or any of that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, that's super respectable, because you as an interviewer, I feel like you bring out the best in everyone you interview because you provide that comfortability. It's like a photographer. You can tell. For me, like, you can tell in pictures and photo shoots when I'm uncomfortable because the photographer is not making me feel comfortable. But you can always tell that the photo shoots, like the photo shoot for I Hate Myself, I was super comfortable. We took so many pictures, and I loved almost all of them because you could tell I was comfortable and I was happy. And like, I was confident, and that was the photographer's job, and they did it well. So I think that's always like the best compliment. And that's something I feel with your interviews. Like usually I would dread all day, have anxiety about this and that. But when I know I'm going to talk with you, I'm like, oh, this is like just talking to family.
I feel the same way, and that's a really good analogy too that you made about photography, because I know, having worked with so many different people over the years, that you can tell right away when you look at images, and I can look at it from somebody else's images too, of whether somebody was comfortable or not, especially when it's like in this case, like the image you can kind of see in the background here from your single, or anything that's kind of model-esque in terms of intent. That yeah, they're just like, if the photographer is trying to make them feel sexy or something, and it was coming across really creepy, or there anything, just depending, even like sometimes it's just the body language of the photographer can make you go, ooh. Like,
I know. I've done shoots with photographers where like they don't even talk to me the whole time. I'm like, well, this doesn't make me comfortable. Like, we're not even talking. How am I gonna be directed to get the shot that you want if you're not even like communicating with me?
God, when you mentioned that, I'm flashbacking way back to when I first started doing the photography thing with models back in 2005. And one of the models that I got to know very, very well told me a story similar to that of another photographer. Like, Mark, is this normal? Because, you know, you and I just talked for the last 2 hours of our shoot, and the one she had done previously, the guy said like 3 words to her, and then she said, I felt so awkward, and I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. I didn't know why. She was kind of new to the industry. And I'm like, he didn't say anything to you, or did he like give you some direction, or just kind of, you know, some small talk or something? And she's like, no, I just didn't know. And then when I was done, he would just say, okay, thanks. And then that was it.
Yeah. And then I'm sure you could go through all those images and you could see her just brain in another world, because she's overthinking everything, which is understandable. If you're in that situation, I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and someone that you know, an interview that I'd done with Sydney Sherwood, she had talked about doing interviews, and saying, yeah, there was one where she'd say her answer to a question, and then there was nothing. So she's like, do I keep talking? Did you like what I said?
Oh, that's so hard.
Yeah, because then it made her feel uncomfortable and awkward, and kind of like, so is this going well? And then they would just kind of spit out the next question. And I've seen those myself online of other guests, and I just feel really bad for the guests, and I feel bad for actually the interviewer too, who's just clearly doesn't have a clue.
Yeah, exactly. You would hope that as an interviewer they would be like self-aware enough to see how they're making their guest feel, but that's hard.
Yeah, and it takes all kinds. You know, I try to stay in my lane as much as I can, but every now and then someone will send me something. They'll look, Mark, check this out, and I'll look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so awful.
I know. I've seen things like that too. It just like breaks my heart. Yeah, sometimes the energy just doesn't click between people.
Yeah, and that absolutely happens. And I don't want to spend all the time of your interview talking about someone else.
Oh, that's okay. Like I said, talking with family.
I just see some of those things. It's like, you know, and everyone starts somewhere. I understand that, just like I did, and hopefully you get better at what you do. But if I keep seeing the same thing, you know, like a year, and you haven't improved at all, it's like, wow, maybe you should look at something else to do, or someone needs to have like a kind of a come to Jesus talk with you about, you know, the work that you're doing. It's like, you know, it's really pretty bad. It's pretty.
That's
awkward.
the thing. Yeah, that's the thing I'm really appreciative of, is I have a great support system of people I respect who provide constructive criticism. And I usually don't take constructive criticism unless it's someone like I really respect in the industry. I mean, I'll take feedback from anyone, but certain people, when they say things, it hits harder or hits home more. So I am really appreciative that if like there's something I said that could have been said better, or even in the studio, like I really adore my producer Eric Ferro, because he knows how to like invoke the best Mariah while recording, but doing it in a constructive way. So if I'm doing something wrong, I know how to be steered to get the sound that he's looking for. So it's just those types of people of knowing how to construct, or like how to direct, I guess, in a sense, or make you the better you. I always appreciate having people like that in my life.
Yeah, and it's important that those people have they've kind of figured out a way to make you aware of those things, but do it in a way that's not going to be like, you know, soul crushing to you.
Yeah, and I'm super, super sensitive. That's something I've always been like, really sensitive to criticism. I get defensive, and it's something I've had to work on over time, is being able to accept it. But yeah, this certain people know how to approach me and coach me well, and that's very useful in my life.
Yeah, I have a couple people that they could probably do it in a nicer way, but I know where it's coming from, and they're almost always spot on with it. That's why I listen to what they have to say when there's something about, Mark, I watched that one live stream, and while you went way off on a tangent that seemed like it had no answer, there was no meaning to it. Why did you do that? And I have to kind of think about it. It's like, one, what are you talking about? Because I can't remember what I did yesterday. And then two, what was I? So I'll go back and watch it and like, oh, damn, they're right. What was my point? Why was I just meandering around somewhere? And also, like, I just did it right now. And your nose and things happen. And
I do
trying
that
to
too.
get better about that.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I had a conversation with an artist friend recently, and I was saying how people were critiquing a song we were listening to, just like it's like a top 40 song, and they're giving their feedback on it. And I just looked at her and I said, I wonder what people say about our music when we're not in the room, like, and it put me in a weird space for a little. I was like, because people, they obviously tell you nice things to your face, but like, what do people say and critique about your music when you're not in the room? And I don't know, we just pondered on it for a little. We were both very quiet, thinking in our own worlds, and it was an interesting thought that I hadn't never had before.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting way to, or proposal of, yeah, when someone's obviously not around you, what are they actually saying when they hear your music for the first time, or your film, or whatever your art is? Are they just being nice to your face, or are they like, like when I turn this off now, do I go, oh man, she sucks?
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny.
Which is obviously not true, because I wouldn't be here with you. But yeah, you understand my point, is because
100%.
I think about that sometimes too, with if someone's complimenting me on something that I've done, it's like, well, that's really great, I really love it, and if they kind of continually support me, then I kind of know what's coming from the right place. But if it's someone I don't know very well, and they say it, so like, are they just saying that because they want to come back on, or they want to almost kind of use me in a way because of my platform? And you have a huge platform compared to mine, so I kind of wonder about people's intentions sometimes.
100%. And that's a key word that you just use, intention. Like, that is like one of the biggest things in my life, is every conversation I have to know people's intentions. And I'm huge about intention, and I ask people straight up, because it's something I'm very direct about, is I know when people can be manipulative or trying to advance themselves in their career or their industry, and all for, like I said earlier, giving back and trying to support the community. But I need to know that people have the same intention that I do, in the sense of like, they're not using people to get to the top.
Very well said. And I've mentioned this before in a couple of my live streams recently, that and again, I'm a small fish in a very large pond, but every now and then someone who's trying to do their own media type of thing of what I do, they reach out to me through DM, and they want to know, how did you get this person? Specifically, you want guests, like a certain level of guests. How did you get this person? Can I get their contact information? It's like, well, what are you doing? I don't even know you. Hello, kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's so interesting how I get DMs all the time. People just go on straight to the chase of like, hey, can I do this? Can we collaborate? Can you share this on your story? It's like, why don't you just like have a conversation with me first, at least, like build some sort of relationship to where I know you're not just coming in to use my platform or use my fan base for your benefit. Like, not saying that there's a what's in this for me, but it's just like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's very, very fair that you'd expect someone to at least try to have an intention behind. So what are you actually trying to do, instead of just trying to basically jump off of what I already have built and spent so many years building? And I've talked with other people about this too, that in my world there are no shortcuts. You have to put in the work, and if you refuse to put in the work, if you want the shortcut, I'm probably the worst person to talk to, because I will have zero respect for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, yeah, there's lots of times I wanted to quit. There's been ups and downs. There's been really, really frustrating moments, and that's part of the process. So if you're trying to skip that process, don't talk to me.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you try and skip that process and then you get successful, I think you have a higher chance of failing because you don't have the failures previously, the smaller failures, to know how to handle the follower base or know how to handle the content creation. Or, if you have someone doing everything else for you, you're not going to know how to do it yourself when it comes down to it. And you're just probably going to fall flat on your face. So I respect people that have had hardship and failure, and I think that makes them more aware and just a well-rounded person.
I totally agree. It's like, again, if someone looks at all the stuff that you've accomplished so far, it's like, this didn't happen overnight.
Definitely not. If it did, and that's the thing I say all the time is, I'm really grateful that I gained my traction and everything when I was older, because I think if it would have happened when I was a younger teenager, or I don't think I would have had the confidence or the awareness that I do now to be able to be where I'm at. I think I would have burned out. I would have been more depressed. I would have taken the haters and really just focused on that. And now I have really thick skin, and I just know how to handle myself and what matters and what to prioritize. So I'm very grateful my timing worked out the way it did.
It's interesting you say that, because I think about, like, when I've had a chance to interview and got to know you the past couple of years, that I think that I don't know how you've done it at your age. So you think that you started kind of late, and I'm kind of like, if I had the success you had when I was your age, I don't know, I'd be a freaking basket case. I don't know.
I mean, definitely, don't get me wrong, there's hard nights, but I just compare back to the 15, 16-year-old Mariah, and I'm like, she would not have been prepared for this at all, and I would have just quit and done like everything that everyone else wanted me to do instead of doing what makes me happy. So I don't know, I'm a believer in timing, and I'm a believer that the hard work gets put in, that there will always be a way to be successful.
Very well said. So as we wrap this up, as we're talking with Mariah Belgrod about her new single, I Hate Myself, and everything else under the sun, as we tend to do with our interviews, is there anything that you would like to let your fans know that's coming up immediately? Anything else that's just off the top of your head that you'd like to leave the interview and everybody out there thinking and pondering about? What are your last words?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's streamed and bought and downloaded I Hate Myself so far. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it resonates with you in some way or another. If it does, reach out to me because I want to hear about it. I am looking forward to recording a music video for it and hopefully getting that put out within the next short amount of time. So follow me on my socials at Mariah Belgrod so you can keep up with all of that. But in the meantime, I'll just be here. Check out my Instagram so you can see all my yummy food. You won't regret it. And yeah, just thank you. I say this all the time, but I really feel like I have the best community and people that have stuck with me for years and years, and the many phases of Mariah. So I hope you love this new chapter that we're entering.
Well, I wish you every success, as I always do. And as I mentioned, absolutely, anytime that you want to connect about anything you have going on, you know how to get a hold of me, and we'll make it happen. So I'm always in your corner.
I appreciate that. I'm always in your corner, and I appreciate your time as always. And I will always keep up. We'll always catch up. You know how we go.
I do. So, hey, thank you so much for taking the time. Have a great night over there on the East Coast. And
thank you. You too.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to the next time that we connect.
Yeah, sooner than later.
All righty. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.